Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to my very first going live. Nick Somberg has tried to get me to do this for years. I wanted to take a minute today because so much is happening in the world, and people have so many questions. So I just wanted to take an opportunity. First of all, the title, 5 reasons that you shouldn't harm your family during quarantine, is sort of a joke, but sort of informative as well. I gave you the hint that the first reason is because protective services workers are essential workers and they're out there. And a couple of different things are happening with protective services. There's a lot of confusion and a lot of conflict between what the governor has ordered and the policy directives that are coming down through the Department of Health and Human Services that go down to protective services. Most of them deal with parenting time. In Governor Whitmer's order, the original shelter stay-home order, she has a section that talks about that parenting time exchanges are allowed and should not be disturbed or disrupted. That is not limited by her order only to custody proceedings. It is actually talked about in her order in the spirit of preserving families. But that has not spilled over into the child protection proceeding world, where there you have different policies coming out of DHHS every day. The first one came out earlier this week, and it had to do with children who were in foster care and children who were being provided supervisory services and supports. It's a very limited group of foster care cases that would have been, or parenting time cases that would have been affected. But yesterday, this all changed to include any child, regardless of what their parenting time arrangement is with their parents, needing to be returned to foster care. What that means is, as of the DHHS policy directive from yesterday, now children who are with their parents for extended periods of time, whether it's 5 of 7 days a week, or it's 5 days and nights, or maybe it's 6 with their parents all day every day, but they sleep in their foster home. Whatever it is, those parents are no longer allowed to have their children in their home. And their parenting time has to be video or has to be by some electronic means for at least the next 3 weeks, or it's suspended. It's so disruptive. It certainly cannot be seen to be in the best interest of the child. And especially when you have a court order in place that is specific as a goal of reunifying families. When reunification is the goal, the parenting time should happen no matter what. Parenting time, barring anything that can be identified as a danger to the child, should occur. There's very few legitimate obstacles to preventing parenting time once it's ordered by a judge. And there's ramifications if it is. So here we have a situation where we have protective services, foster care workers, and the department trying to remove children and distance children when you have court orders that say that reunification is the goal. Well, how do we resolve this? Well, what we're doing is we're filing emergency motions in our child protection proceedings for children to just be returned to their parents in those isolated circumstances where they are spending more time with their parents before these orders came out than 2 hours a week or whatever visitation is. Now, switching over to the family law and the custody, parenting time, divorce, post-judgment, all happening The Michigan Supreme Court did a press release on March 16, 2020, that I think is really telling, because the first part of the press release from the Michigan Supreme Court says that the Supreme Court wants to remind parents that all court orders for child custody, parenting time, and support are still in force. Only a new court order can change that. Parents should continue to follow their court orders. So clearly, parenting time is supposed to continue. The other thing to think about is that child support orders are remaining in full force and effect right now. And most people aren't working, or they're working from home, or they're working at a reduced amount of hours. So how are they going to fulfill their obligations? Again, we have to rely on the court to change the orders, to modify, to give relief. That's why we're staying open, so that we can help our clients and other people who are finding themselves completely unable to meet their obligations and comply with court orders. Another thing to keep in mind and I'm taking some questions here as we talk, but another thing to keep in mind is if you are someone who has to register and report to a police agency to update your registration on the sex offender registry, how are you going to do that? Well, the quick answer is you probably won't be able to, but you must do everything possible to have that documented. So call, tell them, I have to update, I have to report, I have to pay, I have to, whatever your obligation is, and record them saying, I'm really sorry, you can't come into our police station. This isn't essential. The ACLU is working on this. I encourage you to go to their page. The Michigan ACLU has their own page. It has a ton of information about what's going on with the registry right now. And they certainly will be happy to guide you as most they can. The other things that we're working on and why you shouldn't harm your family right now are because jail really sucks right now. First of all, attorneys are having limited access. We can, depending on the county, there's different accommodations for us to have access to our clients, but for the most part, we're doing video visits on unsecured lines that they are supposedly not recording, where the public would normally visit with incarcerated individuals. Another question I've been asked is, what are the jails doing to make sure our loved ones are safe? Well, obviously, they're limited to what they can do. You don't get a lot of personal space when you're incarcerated. And what they've had to do is they've had to move inmates around the jail to be able to have areas where inmates who have been there and quote unquote quarantined with each other for the last 14 days or more are in a different area of the jail than newly arrested inmates who would have to be by themselves in quarantine, because it's not identified if these people are testing positive or not. There aren't tests. There's screenings, but are not tests. Another question is, well, what do I do if my loved one is one of the vulnerable population in jail to the virus? And again, we have to look to the court for that. We've been filing emergency bond motions. We've been filing motions for release. We've been filing motions to have our clients sentenced or their cases resolved so that they can get out of jail. And that is that's pretty much where we are right now. So reason number one, I love review. It's kind of the teacher that I didn't become. But number one, protective services people are essential workers. Oh, and I forgot something. For those of you who follow the Kirsch Daskas page regularly, you know that I am kind of championing the cause to end medical kidnapping of children when protective services or child abuse doctors, emergency responders jump to the conclusion that it's child abuse without a second opinion and also without any real A's and B's in the checklist and I's dotted and all of that. There's kind of a rush to judgment that's occurring. What's happening now that is occurring as of this morning, and I did post this earlier today, there is, I believe it was Oklahoma, they're removing children from their homes and from their parents because their parents are healthcare providers and first responders, for fear that these children are being exposed to COVID-19. It's mind-boggling to me that these people that are out there, taking care of us, taking care of our country, taking care of our loved ones, are now at risk of losing their own children because Protective Services believes they're not protecting them. So read it. I posted it earlier today. There's a lot of things happening in that vein around the country. I try to post as many as I can, and so that was number one. Protective Services workers are essential. Reason number two that you shouldn't harm your loved ones is because, oh my God, so many of you are watching. Cheryl, I haven't seen you in so long. Reason number two, the police are also essential, and I went over what they're doing in jails to try to accommodate the newly arrested and try to get the people who are most at risk, most vulnerable, based on ages or disease or medical treatment that's needed. We have a whole bunch of reasons that we've been citing to try to get them out of jail. The other thing I should tell you is that if you've been driving around, which you shouldn't be, and I'm sorry for the background noise, my family doesn't really want me to be quieting them right now. There's some, I don't know what they're watching, some rerun of sports, but this is more important. You have probably seen a lot of police driving around. They're policing the neighborhoods. If you have to go out, they're definitely there. It is a $500 fine, and it's a misdemeanor, which means it is punishable by, jail time if they wanted to, for if you are disobeying the governor's stay-home order. So the question I was asked about that earlier today, after I asked people to send in their questions, was, well, how do they know if I'm essential or not and if I can lawfully be driving? Well, you're supposed to have a letter from your employer indicating that you are performing an essential business, and I imagine that the more specific it is, the better, in order to avoid that misdemeanor circumstance. Okay, so here you have another problem. So if you do get the ticket or for the misdemeanor, then you have to, you due process kicks in and you have to go to court, but the courts aren't open for non-essential matters. So we're doing video arraignments on serious crimes to start the process going. I'm not sure at this moment what they're doing with those people who get the misdemeanor ticket. It's a situation where if you violate the governor's order, you would be entitled to an attorney. You would be entitled to have a trial. You'd be entitled to have them prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you violated the governor's order. All of this is changing every single day. We're trying to stay as on top of it as we can. Everything seems to be literally there's a new directive, a new policy, especially from the Department of Health and Human Services every day. There were 3 yesterday. So we're going to do this at 1 o'clock every day. And the topics will change depending on what questions you send me or post on our page. And, our doors are open. We're here to help you. And so that was 1 and 2. And I'm just going to look at my little cheat sheet here because I want to make sure I go in order. Number 3, the reason that you shouldn't is because although I love all of you and we're open and we're here to help you, I really don't want you to have issues that you need me right now. It's a really stressful time for everyone. It's a time that we need to be kind and we need to be patient and we need to hear and we need to listen. And I've been posting a lot of, field trips to take with your family and discussions to have with your family. And I don't mean to be an expert. I'm just a lawyer and a mom, and I love people and I love smiling and I love happy. And so I hope you don't need me. But we are here. We're doing video consultations. We're doing document sharing. We're doing informational publications. We're trying to stay connected with as many people all the time that we can. And we also, our phone line, our phones are being answered. So you can either contact us by phone, 248-792-3060. You can email any one of us. It's our first name, Lisa, at kdlawgroup.com. Carly, Carly, at kdlawgroup.com. Amy, at kdlawgroup.com. Law clerk at kdlawgroup.com, or Gabby, Gabbi, at kdlawgroup.com. Also, so everybody knows, the Marvelous Madison will be starting soon, and we should have her KD Law Group email up by Monday. And if anybody has any questions, that's what my number 4 was, to see if anyone had any questions right now for me that I can help you, because as everyone knows, I believe you pick your lawyer by the person who gives you the most peace of mind. And if your questions are answered, you sleep better, and hopefully you have a little peace of mind. So I don't even know if I know how to see if you're asking questions. I can see who's watching, but let's see. Jordan Ewald, one of my most favorite law students, just tuned in too. Hi, Jordan. So does anyone have any questions? As I am waiting to answer them. Let's see. Okay. Well, since we have no questions from the group, then I will just tell you the 5th and final reason that you really, really, really do not want to harm your family during this time of quarantine. And that is because most people don't look good in horizontal stripes, and orange is certainly not my best color. So with all of that, I hope you stay well, stay healthy, stay home, reach out. We're here, and be well. Bye.